Hey, it's Sila Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome back to Slidell Social Studies. Today again we're going to be talking about our westward expansion, some land acquisition like Oregon, and another war that the United States got into. So what about these new territories like Oregon? After John Tyler's one-term presidency, Democrat James K. Polk was elected president in 1844. Polk was heavily in favor of completing the nation's goal of manifest destiny and wanted to acquire the territory of Oregon and the independent nation of Texas. The Oregon Territory ran north into Canada, and the threat of war with Britain loomed over its border. President Polk was able to avoid a third war with Britain by negotiating a treaty of Oregon's border to be south of the 49th parallel. Oregon was officially an organized territory in 1848. So there's Oregon. What about Texas? President Polk also solved the Texas problem. Texas was forced to become its own independent nation after their liberation from Mexico in the Texas Revolution. Polk decided to annex Texas in 1845, 10 years after its victory, and this infuriated Mexican officials. The United States and Mexico were engaged in disputes over the border dividing the United States and Mexico. The United States originally sent Louisiana Representative John Slidell to Mexico to try to negotiate a deal to purchase New Mexico and California for $30 million. The Mexican officials refused to talk to Slidell, so a deal for the territories was never made. The disputed border was the area between the Rio Grande River and the Nueces River. Mexico believed that the Texas-Mexico border was located farther north near the Nueces River, while the United States felt that the border was further south along the Rio Grande River, where it is present day today. President Polk ordered General Zachary Taylor and his army to the border region around the Rio Grande in 1846. It is here in April that the United States troops clashed with the Mexican army. So this is what we call the Mexican-American War. And this Mexican-American War marked the first armed conflict that the United States engaged in that was fought mostly on foreign soil. On April 25, 1846, a Mexican cavalry attacked a group of U.S. soldiers in the disputed zone under the command of General Zachary Taylor, killing about a dozen. When Mexico attacked, it was a politically divided country with a military that was grossly unprepared to fight any war. Taylor regrouped his army and went on the attack. Mexico desperately needed leadership for their forces, and they turned to a familiar former war hero, General Santa Anna. Now, General Santa Anna, who had been exiled to Cuba, told President Polk that if he was able to go back to Mexico, that he would end the war in favor of the Americans. After Santa Anna arrived in Mexico, he betrayed Polk and took the lead of the Mexican army and led them into the Battle of Buena Vista. So now we're going to talk about a couple of these battles, and we're going to talk about what ultimately led to the Mexican defeat. So this Battle of Buena Vista was fought on February 23, 1847, and pitted 20,000 Mexican soldiers against an army of the United States that numbered about 4,500. It lasted only one day, with the American forces pushing back Santa Anna's men and trapping thousands, wiping out men with cannon shots. Overnight, Santa Anna had led his men to a retreat while claiming victory. When the smoke cleared in the morning, there were roughly 3,700 Mexican casualties compared to only about 700 American. Taylor claimed victory and returned to Washington to pursue a career as a politician. Then we have the Battle of Veracruz. General Winfield Scott knew how important the port city of Veracruz was in order to make an inland attack, and he knew it needed to be captured. This is the first amphibious landing of American soldiers in history. Scott landed his men about 3 miles south of Veracruz and surrounded the city. For 12 days, the Americans sieged the city by hitting it with cannon fire all day and all night. The city finally surrendered and gave the United States the strongest fortress in Mexico. Now we're going to talk about the Battle of Mexico City. The Battle of Mexico City pitted roughly 16,000 demoralized men under the lead of General Santa Anna versus about 7,200 well-trained and supplied U.S. soldiers under General Winfield Scott. There are many small battles surrounding Mexico City where Santa Anna's men retreated back into the city fortifications. It wasn't until a little-known soldier named Ulysses S. Grant broke down some border walls of the city and brought cannon fire to the defenders. Santa Anna's troops retreated from the city, giving Scott the victory in 1847. It was this battle that sparked the beginning of the end for Santa Anna and the Mexican army. Attacks from the Mexican army continued against the U.S. supply lines, but the war was effectively over. General Santa Anna resigned, and the United States waited for a more stable Mexican government that was capable of negotiations. On February 2nd, 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed, ending the Mexican-American War. The Rio Grande was established as the Mexican-American border, and Mexico officially recognized the U.S. annexation of Texas. Mexico also agreed to sell the Mexican Cession, which was land which included present-day California, Nevada, Utah, parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming for only a total of $15 million. Mexicans who were living in the Cession people were protected in the free enjoyment of their liberty and property and secured in the free exercise of their religion. Land from the Mexican Cession increased the size of the United States by 25%. After the war, the United States and Mexico agreed on the Gadsden Purchase. This was an agreement finalized in 1854 in which the United States agreed to pay Mexico $10 million for a 29,670 square mile portion of Mexico that later became parts of Arizona and New Mexico. The Gadsden Purchase provided the land necessary for a southern transcontinental railroad and attempted to resolve conflicts that lingered after the Mexican-American War. I'll see you next time.